We're in today with the GTX 295. This is a 2009 video card with 240 shaders. It's got nearly 900 megabytes of VRAM GDDR3, 576 megahertz on the core clock, and 999 megahertz on the memory clock. 448 bits, DirectX 10, and today I have 4 cores enabled. That means Quad SLI. We're gonna pair this up with this i7 4th gen with 4 cores and 8 threads. And we're gonna jump in a couple of games and see how this monster of a quad is holding. Just in case you want to hear them, you need to listen to this. What's funny about this, he managed to eat 10 watts on the fans, you know, 10 watts power consumption from the fan. This is one game that I really like to see how it's working with Quad SLI, even though the numbers are not justifiable because it's eating a lot of wattage from the computer. I mean, 2 GTX 295, it's eating 450 watts. Understandable, you know. I don't need 600 FPS, but I want to see the system loose. I want to see the FPS unlock, and I want to see how they are scaling. And finding an older game that scales very nice like this, it's just beautiful to see how the GPUs are behaving. I put 68% on the fan because they are very loud, and you can actually see the GPU stays around 70 degrees, a medium on the temperature on the cores. It's utilizing 60% on the core, so that means the GPUs are not at maximum load, and it's working really nice. Aside from my driving, the VRAM is not maxed out. 400 megabytes of VRAM, considering it got nearly 900 megabytes of VRAM. I will say this is a decent performance. This is exactly what I need from this Quad SLI. Every single time I'm looking for games that are compatible with SLI, so-called compatible with SLI, I need to see something similar. I need to see something related to this game. I want to see so many frames. The resource from this computer and the GPU needs to be the same. Does it run Crysis? Look at this. Maximum details with this Quad SLI. I think you need, by the sound, you need to understand that I'm on maximum details with maximum fan speed. You can actually see the temperature. Somebody asked me, he needs new thermal paste. They got new thermal paste. Look at it, 85 degrees. And 630 watts nearly. 630 watts. I'm okay because I have a 1050 watts power supply. So in this case, with this video card, I think 600 it's enough, you know, to push those cards. Maximum details, 70 FPS. I think if I go around and start looking and poking and using scope, you can actually see the spikes are being present in the game. Now, 700 megabytes of VRAM from the quad. This one is actually scaling perfectly. You can actually see it's utilizing the VRAM from all of the video cards, because he said at the beginning Crysis is made for NVIDIA, you know, so at least utilize the resource from this Quad SLI properly, and it does, you know. So I like Crysis is doing a fantastic job. The only problem here is the temperature, you understand, because there is a lot of room for improvement if you want to utilize this type of setup. If we're using VSync, 50 FPS. All right, I'll take 50 FPS, then you will see that the GPU are distressing. 50-60% load on the cores, 700 megabytes of VRAM utilized, and the GPU are getting cooler with 100% fan speed. I'm 100% that if you take them off from 100%, then the GPUs will stay on the same temperature, you know, 80-90 degrees. But if we're jumping in Battlefield with this Quad SLI, let's take a look on the settings and see what we had. Low details, full screen, VSync off. All right, let's see, hundreds of FPS, a lot of wattage, a lot of heat. And yeah, the game running like this with this type of setup is a fantastic example what you need to use today. Even on low details, the game looks fantastic, so you can actually see it's utilizing the resource properly. Nearly 700 megabytes of VRAM utilized here with this computer. It's using only 60% load on the core, and it's keeping the GPUs 70 degrees. You know, I like this. I really like the performance here, because if I If I'm honest, I think this game is utilizing properly the computer, but I don't want to stress it. If I know that if I put more details, I'm gonna get more than 500 watts consumption from this. Seriously, 500 watts consumption, it's okay. You know, it just in case you say, you know what, the FPS is good. The temperature is good. I mean, don't ruin it. Maybe you can put VSync on and put more details, but that's it. I think this is exactly the type of how should I say, the type of details in order to benefit from a Quad SLI. Last time I was here, I had problems with 295 as a single SLI video card. Yes, I realized it was just in the menu compatibility issue because it has DirectX 9 versus DirectX 11 if it's available, and it's pushing more details and more features. But you can actually see on Quad SLI with 2 GTX 295, you can see that it's utilizing the game properly, and I like it. It's using 500 megabytes of VRAM in this occasion. It looks fantastic. The frame time, it's okay-ish, you know. You can actually see some spikes here and there. Look at them, how they are running, you know. But it's doing okay, 76 degrees with 80% fan power, and I think it's okay. In this situation, the performance with the Quad SLI is good, and it's utilizing 460 watts consumption. I like this performance, you know. If I want to do something like this, I think this is the right way to do it, you know. GTX 295 maximum details in this game is doing great. Not a lot of consumption from the main computer, only 35 watts from the CPU and 4.4 gig of system RAM. I mean, the overall performance is great. Quad SLI in Fallout with this type of performance is exactly what I'm looking for. 360 watts consumption from this setup, 600 megabytes of VRAM, so it's buffing in the memory, 20-30% load on the video card's core, and 60-70 degrees on the GPU's core. I think when they made this type of GPU, they were thinking that every single game will run like this. Look at this, how fantastic it is. This is exactly what I need. 60 FPS, lock it there, and have nice temperature, nice load on the video card. Everything looks good. Maximum details, 1080p. I tried to put higher resolution, but the game doesn't allow me to capture it. So I like it this way, you know. If it's working like this, then everything is good here. But if we're jumping in Black Ops 2 with a lot of hackers here, apparently, I know that this computer can actually do the job here, and the video cards are compatible with the game. 70-80% load on the cores. You can actually see that the GPUs are doing great. This is low details, so I don't need more because there's a lot of spikes in the game, and I need as many FPS as possible with a flat frame time. In this case, you can actually see with low details I achieved 200 FPS. That is my target. I want the game to be very fluent with this, you know. I don't want to stress the whole setup. In this case, even with low details, the game is very entertaining. I think the best thing to do is to just maximize the FPS, and that's it. 295 is not something that you choose every single day to say, you know what, I want to play Black Ops with this type of setup, and yeah, it's not something you see every day. 500 megabytes of VRAM, it's actually good from this video card. The cores are not being stressed, so I would say an overall performance, it's good with this type of setup. But if we're jumping in Metro, there is something very weird happening. I didn't put maximum details here, and yeah, I want to show you how it's performing here, because last time I was here with the 295, I didn't like that idea to push the card to the limit, and I say, you know what, I'll put normal details. Even with normal details, it looks fantastic, you know. But just in case you have a decent video card, it will be nice to push this game to maximum because it looks fantastic. But now with the 295, even with Quad SLI, you can actually see I get 500 watts consumption and 60-70% load on the cores, with 74 or 75 on a couple of PCBs. But it's doing the job. Near 650 megabytes of VRAM utilized here. It looks okay. It runs okay. So in this situation, you can clearly see that it's a fantastic performance overall. You can see that even with 60% load on in some cases, it's giving me only 50-60% FPS. I think maybe the MS, the response on the MS Afterburner, because I've seen a couple of times reaching maximum load when it was 40 FPS, nearly 90% load. In that case was only 40 FPS on average. I mean, what the heck is going on here? But if we're jumping in Skyrim with this setup, you can actually see that the GPUs are doing fantastic. 600 megabytes of VRAM utilized here with 60 FPS lock. I got 400 watts consumption, and the GPU stays below 50% load. I like this because then the GPUs are being cooled properly. So when it comes to gaming, 60 FPS is actually fantastic for this type of setup because the games are not being pushed to the limits. I don't want 600, 700 FPS in order to get my GPUs super hot. 60 FPS is okay, like in this situation. The video cards and the system are being cooled properly. I don't stress them. The system itself has no problem. 5.2 gig of system RAM used from this computer and decent wattage consumption. Overall performance is good in Skyrim. This is how it needs to be utilized, you know, like in Fallout, Skyrim, games like this. 60 FPS, VSync, it's your friend for an SLI configuration like this, you know. But if we're jumping in S.T.A.L.K.E.R with this configuration with Quad SLI on maximum details, you can actually see the system is utilizing 450 watts consumption. Maximum details, it looks fantastic. There's no spikes, you know. I got hundreds of FPS here. 70% load on the core, 74 degrees. I mean, if that is the maximum temperature, I will take it. It looks fantastic. It runs fantastic. I can ask more from this, you know. If I want to play this game, apparently, I will put it to 60 FPS, lock it there, and not utilize 515 watts consumption from the wall, you know, in order to play S.T.A.L.K.E.R on maximum details. Even though 60 FPS it's on okay because it enters that category with Fallout and Skyrim, you know. So I just wanted to show you how much it's consuming, how much temperature I get with 80% on the fan speed, and yeah, I think this is exactly what you need for an SLI configuration like this. Last time I was here, I had a lot of problems. 608 watts, 609, 610. Actually, very surprised that the power supply is holding. 200 FPS, less than 500 megabytes of VRAM utilized, maximum core load, 81 degrees. So it does heat up the video cards regardless. I'm very surprised that I managed to find it. I'm very grateful that I have this game and it's working with my combination. But I'm afraid on the temperature because it's overheating. 45 soon on the GPUs. 45, 85 degrees on the GPUs. The room is hot. I can feel my palms sweaty. Okay, so 200 and something FPS, it's not okay. So I got VSync now. Look at this, 415 watts consumption here, less than 500 megabytes of VRAM utilization, under 50% load on the cores. 74 degrees, 73, you can actually see it's dropping because it tries to cool with 100% fan spin. You can hear the fan on maximum, but this is how it needs to be played, you know. I think more than 60 FPS it's not worth it on this game, but I wanted to see on Quad SLI how the game is performing with this. Seriously, Quad SLI with 295, I mean, this is a fantastic setup, and I will definitely play it more in the future because this is exactly what I need from this type of combination. I like it, you know. If you look on the sensors here, you can actually see it's 60 degrees on ambient. I'm not using it, you know. I want to see if it's cooling down by the time I want to talk about some stuff that I managed to put down, some thoughts here with the 295. I'm having problems with the temperature, you know. I'm having problems to control this type of video cards because the temperature is the #1 enemy in this 295. If I want to play more and it's heating up even outside, I have to use the air conditioning. Now the temperature was okay and I didn't use it, and now in the room is very crispy. Seriously, if I put it, I don't even know what, I don't want to know. I don't know why, because I feel it's warm in the room with this 295 combo inside the computer. The temperature is the enemy of this video card. Last time I played, I had the 295 and I think the thermal paste was crooked inside because I didn't check it. I bought it, but I didn't check it. I seen the idle temperature and I thought, you know what, this is a good temperature and maybe I can use it. Apparently, in the last game that I tested, I seen the video cards with maximum fan on 85 and the other one reached 90, 91, 92 or something. So I think the thermal paste in the previous one that I tested, it's broken and I have to change it in order to have decent temperature. Now, the problem with this type of video card is that I cannot use three-way SLI. There's a lot of video cards that have SLI connector, and they use two of them. So you can connect 1, 2, and from the second connector you put on the third card, you know. But this one only got one SLI connector, and you can use this type of video card in two-way, but actually it's a quad SLI in order to get best performance. So I have two video cards now in the computer in Quad SLI, but I have another one that I bought and I tested last time here. One thing I learned that today is that it's using 620 watts consumption with two video cards like this. So I'm very happy that I managed to put 1050 watts power supply, but in the future, if somebody asks, I want to tell them you need at least 1000 watts power supply to push this type of setup. If you're interested in a retro build in order to put video cards like this, somebody will build a Quad SLI like this, and they need to know that you need at least 1000 watts power consumption. Like I said first time, the temperature is your enemy, but your best friend in this situation is VSync. You managed to see 200 FPS, the GPUs were loaded at maximum, but the moment you want to control the temperature, the load and everything, you have to activate VSync, depending on how the game is running, on low jitters or high jitters or maximum quality. It's all depends to you on the quality, but VSync needs to be your friend. That's it. VSync is your best friend. I managed to see so many games with like Fallout and Skyrim that managed to utilize this Quad SLI perfectly. The temperature was good, under 50% load on the cores, and everything was perfect smooth. Even in the last game, after I put it on 60 FPS, everything became flat, and I like that. So, do I recommend a video card like this? Yes. Do I recommend a Quad SLI like this? No. One video card I recommended, and if you use it on whatever quality you want, if the FPS is there, use VSync and you can have a lot of fun with this type of hardware. It's a very, very interesting machine, and it will give you a specific type of feeling that new games and new hardware doesn't offer you. And I really like people who are going in this direction, you know, which GTX 295 SLI. Get them because they are very cheap now, and everybody complains about them because they are overheating. But trust me, if you put the right FPS, the right quality, and use VSync, you will not overheat them. So you can keep the video cards on 60 degrees 100%. If you have any suggestion in the future with this combination or with this machine, please leave a comment, and I will see you very soon.